All right, and we are now live, family. Shout out to everybody waiting. Another great show is about to go down. What's today? Today is Tuesday, so they say. Oh man, it's gonna be a good one, y'all. Y'all see I got the OG back with me. I had to bring the OG back. You know what I'm saying? OG got important information that we need at this time. I want to welcome back, family. None other than Wayne Chandler. Wayne, welcome back, my brother.
Yeah, thanks. Feels good to be here, man. Yeah, I'm going to turn over a little bit of new information, and I think probably old information for a lot of folks, but they've never really gone deep to explore it. And so that's what we want to do tonight. Is just open new doors of exploration for our health, because that's the focus tonight is our health.
Indeed. Before we get into the health aspect, I wasn't able to line up the recording that me and Wayne talked about. Somebody had emailed me earlier and asked me about that, but I'm allowed a brother just to talk a real brief about he had a follow up meetings or interviews, or I don't know what you want to call it, with these entities that he say is from AI Atlas. So before we get into the health aspect of things, Wayne, could you update on us on so much talk, Wayne? What is going on now from what you've experienced with these entities, talking to them, my brother? What was the conversation like? You told us the
Yeah,
first conversation. What was the next one like, my brother?
I've had four meetings. The last meeting was this past Saturday that
Mhm.
I had, and when I go in, I go in with questions, and a lot of the questions that I have kind of relate to the overall planet, not so much myself and my own investments into my personal directions, but more so what is going to transpire with and for humanity during this time. So some of the information that I've gotten based on questions I've asked, they said, because I went in with two questions like about a couple of meetings ago. And those questions were because they use these two terms a lot. They use the correction and the purification. So I needed to know exactly what that meant. What was the correction and what is the purification? So the correction, and I kind of figured that's what they were speaking on or alluding to regarding the correction. But the correction is the realignment of our genetic code, the activation of our 12 strands, the removal, of the telomeric caps that were put on the chromosomes to disrupt genetic information going from one place to another, as well as putting a dampener on our longevity and giving us just a fraction of the lifespan that we ordinarily would have. So that is part of their mission and why they're here. They will be here until March. The purification deals with a geomagnetic shift, because my question to them, based on, for those of you that have read my book, you know that I go very heavy into polar shifts and polar reversals. And those things seem to take place just before we embark upon the dawning of a new age. And so, my question to them was, are we going to have to deal with a polar reversal where the planet literally stops revolving in the direction that it's currently spinning, stops for a second, and then reverses its rotational field and spins back in the opposite direction. All of these, of course, gave the stories of the Great Flood, which every culture, every civilization has records of this particular cataclysmic shift. And this took place, the last one was 12,500 years ago. So, my question to them was, are we going to have to deal with that? And they said that there were going to be geomagnetic reversals, that the magnetic field of the planet was going to shift, and some areas that shifting was going to be substantial. But there was not, I repeat, there was not going to be a rotational reversal of the planet's axis. So that brought a smile to my face. But with the shifting in the magnetic field, this geomagnetic shift, there are going to be some major earthquakes, and we need to be prepared for those and understand that a lot of how things are formed right now and set, that those geographical and geological designs are going to change based on the severity of the earthquakes that will take place on the planet during this time. Um, the other thing that I asked was, and, and that was this Saturday. I asked them. Well, I asked a few things, but this one thing I asked them was the Earth round or was it flat?
Yeah, you getting a good laugh out of that.
They got a good laugh.
Oh man.
They actually chuckled behind that question, and they said that the Earth definitely is round, and that the roundity and the spherical patterning, of reality is the essence of creation. And I do talk about that um, in my book, as a matter of fact. I say very specifically, in talking about the Vesica Pisces, or the two adjoining circles, I say that the Vesica Pisces, or the two adjoining circles, is the symbol for the creative feminine force that brought the material universe into being. It represents the fundamental energy which lies at the basis of all creation, and without it, nothing could be. To remove its energy from all form and matter would bring about the immediate, the immediate disintegration of the universe. So when you look at the template that's used in the format of creation, you see atoms, protons, neutrons, electrons. Then you see our solar systems. You see our galaxies. All represent the same fundamental design. So the idea that the Earth could be and is flat is preposterous. And that's just the way it is. But yeah, they got a big chuckle from that. And they talked about a certain kind of information pocket, or packet. That was the term they used, packet. An information packet that they feel was downloaded into the consciousness of many of the individuals who have taken that on and have believed it, but that it is another form of distraction and misdirection. Um, Other things that I've gathered from their meeting is that it's a congregation. It's not just one group of entities, and they are ancestral beings to us. They are definitely ancestral to us. And it's a community of different ancestral entities that come from different areas, of our galaxy. And they all are represented on this ship.
Any reason why they said they're leaving in March?
Um, they didn't give a reason except that what they came here to do will be done by March, because they're working incessantly. Now, my question, one of the other questions I had, because they began working on the telomeric caps for all of us who are involved in this particular program. And I have to tell you, it's been amazing to feel the shifts and the changes because the work that they do on us is just profound. And some of there's another brother in the group, a brother by the name of Diallo, and he has been challenged with this hip pain for a good portion of his life. And they told him exactly when he got it, which was right on the transition between the Moria going into the Atlantean epoch. And that's when he developed an injury that created this nagging condition that has followed him for lifetimes. And they worked on it. And he called me and he said, "Man, my hip is like 80% better." And so he got a redo this past Saturday. He asked if they could go back in and just finish it up. So a lot of the work that they're doing is work that they're going to be doing on all of us on the planet. Their focus is that they want people to become more heart centered. They said that this is imperative that we become more heart centered. And even with even with me, when I go in with all of my questions, they want me to kind of stay out of my head and focus more on the meditations and such that we're given to expand and engage our heart energy, because that's where the beginning of true transformation takes place. And that made a lot of sense to me because back in the day, the veil of connection between student and master was much thinner than it is today. And I used to commune with Swami Satchidananda quite a bit, and he would sneak into town, fly into town, and we'd all get together, and it would just be a small group of us. But what really impressed me about Satch was that he was a bhakti yogi, whereas Vishnu Devananda, his classmate under Shivananda, was a hatha practitioner, and his inroads was through the hatha system, the more physical attributes, where with the bhakti was all about the heart. Bhakti yoga was all about love. It was all about opening the heart space because once the heart was activated, once you activated the heart chakra, then everything else would flow. If the heart chakra was not opened and activated in accordance to like divine and cosmic law, then as you lift, raise Kundalini, it can go awry. And all kinds of issues, challenges, problems can be created for you in your spiritual development. I hope that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, definitely. A lot of sense. And let me see if anybody put anything in the chat regarding this. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, very interesting. Like I said, very interesting to hear your conversation. What is being said? What do you think about the idea, Wayne, of psychic surgery? I don't know if you ever read up on that,
I've
but
had it done.
in the past,
Yeah. Back in the day, man, we all of that when all of that stuff was
it's
floating
popular.
around, we
It's
were
not.
taking advantage,
It's not talked about no more. It's not talked about psychic.
No,
All right, so
no.
tell me what happened. Tell me, did it work? Did it not? What happened, Wayne?
I went. It was done in a special house, mansion, if you will. Um, some folks brought some psychic surgeons up from the Philippines, and it was probably maybe about 20 people that had been given an invitation. I don't even remember how how me and my boy got in there, because it was one of those just us kind of situations. And but we were there, and we got the treatment done. So they put me on the table, and then he used his hand and went in to my body. And when he went in through, the skin, he went in and then began to remove this substance, I guess, this toxic debris that had kind of collected, I guess, over a period of time that was lodged in and around my solar plexus. So he would go in and take this stuff out and put it in a little dish. And
You felt it? I mean, what did you
yeah,
feel?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I felt, but it wasn't, there was no discomfort. The only thing that remained was for about 2 weeks after that, um, that whole area of my body just vibrated. You know, it was really sensitive, and it had this vibrational frequency that just kept me very aware, of the energy.
Wow. So these were people from the Philippines, you saying?
Yeah.
So you think what they was like specially trained at this or
Oh,
something?
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting, Wayne. It's because we're on the internet and people don't talk about it no more. I figured we would be talking about it more, but I don't hear nobody talking about it.
Yeah, back then in those days, man, when it first hit, it was kind of it was a thing, and it gained a lot of traction in the so-called spiritual communities,
Mm.
but only a certain group of people really had access to these individuals, and you know who those people were.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely, definitely. What do you find before we get into because I know we're gonna be talking about our light body and certain things health related that either prohibits or will enhance our light body experience with all these changes happening right now. But when you travel the world, what are some of the main things they do in the Philippines, they do in Cambodia, they do in the East that you would say in the West we don't focus on, even if we're in the spirituality?
Yeah, man. I think our spiritual direction is anemic at best. And I think that's based on a couple of things. One is, as I was coming up, a lot of the information that was, relevant for real expansion of consciousness and the refinement and proper cultivation of the body mind, um, we weren't really given all of that information in the way that it should have been delivered. And there were certain things, like one of the things you hear me talk about a lot is tongue connection, Kachari Mudra. Kachari Mudra was never taught back in the day to the masses or to people taking classes. You could get in with maybe a small class of maybe 4 or 5 people, and they would talk about tongue connection because tongue connection was the generator. It was what actually
What do
moved
you mean
the
by that?
energy.
For those who don't know, what are you referring to? Tongue connection. What are you referring
Tongue
to?
connection is taking the very tip of your tongue along the roof of your mouth. There is a ridge that runs right down the center. And that ridge has given birth to 3 points. And each one of those points connects to a specific system that moves through and operates within the body. So the first point deals with the wind, or the accumulation of air, the air element in the body. The second point is the fire point, and it deals specifically with the systems of the heart and the influence that these heart based systems have on the body mind. The third point is the water point, which is called the main thrusting route. And the water point is that point that deals with all of the fluid representations that move through the body, lymph, blood, etc. Um, so when you take the very tip of your tongue and you connect it to one of these 3 points, you're actually connecting to an entire system in your body. And that system, based on the point that you connect with, is going to generate a specific quality of life force energy. So this was never taught to us. Um, Montauk Chia was the first practitioner, master, who actually brought that to light. And when he did that, he came up against a lot of animosity and you know just hatred based on him giving that information to his students. Um, so that's one of the things that I feel we never really got the full brunt of the information, because people that would go into yoga, in yoga, pranayam is completely and totally based on tongue connection. That's what makes pranayam a valid system. If you're not doing tongue connection when you do pranayam, you're not doing pranayam.
Wow, interesting.
The same thing with Tai Chi. Tai Chi is based on tongue connection.
Mm.
If you're not doing tongue connection when you're doing Tai Chi, you're not doing Tai Chi. So we came up with the short end of the stick. One of my students, to dramatize this, one of my students was taking a class. She lived down in Annapolis in Maryland. And she was taking a class from a woman down there, and she knew about tongue connection. So when she went into the class, she asked the woman, you know, why don't you teach tongue connection? And the woman said, we can talk after class. So after class, she went up, Crystal went up and confronted the woman, and she said, I know tongue connection. I know all about it. My teacher, who was Chinese, taught tongue connection to me, but he made me swear not to teach it to anyone else.
Mm. Wow.
It's a very powerful system. And that's what makes Qigong so powerful, is because Qigong is a exercise in various systemic programs that are all focused on the release, the development, the cultivation of life force energy through tongue connection.
Mm. What have you ever did a class on the tongue connection?
Yeah,
Is that like a simple class? Like, say if I want to do a Patreon, Patreon class on that, is that something we could do for the people, or is it got to
sure.
be
Yeah,
okay? We're gonna talk about that.
yeah.
We're gonna talk about that. Definitely. Well, have you faced a lot of discrimination, Wayne, with the things going overseas in Asia? Have you experienced a lot of discrimination, or did they tell you like, "Welcome back"? You taught us this. Your ancestors taught us this. What was it? Which one was it like?
Yeah, I'd say for the better part, it was welcome back.
Mhm.
Um,
Dope.
Probably most of the pushback that I got was when I was on the lecture circuit working with Van Sertima, and my focus was ancient India and Southeast Asia,
Mm-hmm.
and I would do lectures, and of course there would be East Indians, in the place,
Right.
and yeah, they would go off. They didn't like the information that I was putting out there.
Well, the East Indians didn't like it.
Nah,
Why not? What did it?
because I was talking about the caste system. I was talking about the image of Brahma and what that image really looked like in terms of the color schematic.
Right.
That went from, the white head to the black feet. So, these were things that I got reported for. Because they have a, I guess like the JDL, the Jewish Defense League.
Mm-hmm.
They have something that's very similar to that, where they drop names. Um, about people who they feel don't have the culture's best interest at heart. And
Mm-hmm.
then those cats come after them.
Mm. Mm. Very interesting, Wayne. Always interesting and having these conversations with you, man. Because a lot of people ain't up on the energy work that you're up on. Let's start this conversation tonight about health. And some of this information might be new to a lot of people. Some of it may not be new. You said something very controversial to me on the phone yesterday when I talked to you. And we're moving to a new paradigm, and there's going to be new information emerging. So let's start this conversation. Wayne, what did you want to talk to us about in terms of integrating with our 4D body, Wayne?
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to start off with, just in terms of the food that we eat, it's either going to be the safest and the most powerful form of medicine, or it's going to be the slowest form of poison. And I think that what we have been dealing with has been the latter. And so it's now, time to take the blinders off and really look at some of the hardcore changes that need to be made. And as I was just jotting down some notes and things of that nature, what came to me was one of the axioms in Ancient Future in my book. And I say that all truths are but half truths. And I began to ponder that in a different way because if you acknowledge and embrace that axiom that all truths are but half truths, it really pushes back on mental, emotional, and spiritual rigidity that we have a tendency to collect and gives us the ability to be a lot more flexible in what we encounter in terms of information. And so I feel that what we're going to talk about tonight is going to really kind of shake folks up a little bit. But hey, I've had to go through it myself because a lot of the things that I've had to change with respect to my dietary basis were things that I loved and I had to let go of. So, one of the things that we're going to talk about, we're going to start off with what are called um, oxalates. Now, I know some of you probably have been hearing that word in various media outlets because it's becoming more and more um, familiar in terms of, well, what is an oxalate? And an oxalate basically is a compound that's found, it's a toxin, and it's found in various foods that we eat. And many of us, especially those of us that consider themselves eating well, eat a lot of. So, one of the things that when Rich and I were rapping last night, one of the things I put on the table was spinach. And that spinach,
Yikes.
spinach was the number one oxalate producer and toxin of all the things that we could possibly eat. And that
Yo.
if a person drank 8 spinach smoothies in a row,
Mm-hmm.
they would drop dead.
Yo, you know who told me that? You know who told me? But he didn't want to, and I hope he don't get mad at me. Dr. B Serious told me that on the phone, but he said he didn't want to come on my show and he didn't think the people were ready to hear that yet. But he was like, yo, he was telling me about spinach and kale. And he was like, yo, Rich, we got to find out a way to integrate it into the health. But the vegan community, they could be like Nazis sometime. So they will attack you if you come with new information that goes against what they're saying. But go ahead, brother. Wow, this is wild.
80%, when we look at like just, you know, challenges and various conditions that we acquire, in the body, 80% of all kidney stones are derived from oxalate compounds.
Damn.
80%, um, and it's basically it's calcium oxalate. You know, that's the actual name of the compound that's created, and from the various foods that we eat. I mean, spinach is really bad, but right under spinach are potatoes. And we eat a whole lot of potatoes.
I'm not surprised at that. Potatoes.
Yeah.
And kale is on that list too.
But see, kale isn't a high oxalate food. It's actually a mid-range oxalate food. So
Mhm.
you can actually partake more of kale than you can. Spinach is one of those things that you need to completely take off your meal list. You don't need to deal with spinach ever again.
I mentioned, you see what this brother said. Popeye set us up. Was it a whole campaign with the whole spinach thing, Wayne? What was the purpose? Everybody know about Popeye the Sailor Man.
Yeah,
And
everybody knows. Yeah. But I think everybody knew about Popeye the Sailor at that point but I
Yeah.
don't think they knew about
Either.
oxalates at that
Right.
point.
Right.
And that was the issue, you know.
Mm.
And the second biggest source, of kidney stones come from the consumption of potatoes.
Mm.
So basically, what oxalates are, it's really a form of plant weaponry. Oxalates are plant chemicals that the plants make to keep other things from eating them. So when we bypass that as human beings and decide that, well, even though these insects or animals don't eat this particular plant for whatever reason, we don't know, we're going to eat it. And in our consumption of those plants, we're pulling in all of these various oxalate compounds into our system. And
Yeah.
we're talking about, these things like wreak havoc on our digestive system,
Yeah.
um, gets into the blood and circulates through the entire body mind, because the oxalates have a tendency to settle in different places in the body more so than others. And one of those areas is the brain.
Mm.
Now, a woman came to me, and I think I told you this story too when we were rapping last night. A woman came to me about a month or so ago to get energy work done.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a frozen shoulder, which meant she couldn't lift her shoulders. She couldn't raise her arms.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked on her, and she was able to move them a little bit, lift them a little bit. But I just said, there should be substantial more movement than what we're seeing right now. And so I started thinking about what could be in the way of preventing her, with that level of mobility. And I said, I wonder what, so I reached out to her and I said, what is the first thing that you take into your body in the morning? And she said, oh, I'll do a spinach smoothie.
Mm.
I told her to cut the smoothie out. In 4 days, she had complete and total range of motion back in her shoulders.
Mm.
She called me and told me I saved her life,
Wow.
you know. So the whole idea of these plant chemicals is very real, and the way they appear when you look at them microscopically, they look like, you know what they look like?
Wow.
In the Avengers Infinity Wars, when they had abducted Doctor Strange and they had him on the ship,
Mm-hmm.
and they had those needles for the microsurgery,
Mm-hmm.
and those needles were going into his different areas of his body, his skin, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what the oxalate compounds look like. I mean, exactly. That's what they
Mm.
look like under a microscope. That's what they look like. And once they get into the body and they circulate in the blood, the kidney has the responsibility of removing as many of these oxalates as they possibly can. But
Mm.
they can't get all of them out because a lot of them take hold in the liver.
Mm.
And the liver tries to deal with them in the best way that it can. But in doing that, it burns up a lot of its glutathione.
Mm.
And glutathione is like the fountain of youth for the human body.
Mm.
It's the one thing that the liver produces that generates longevity in a maximum means and method. I mean, when you look at the liver is the only organ that if you cut a piece
It grows
and
back.
remove a piece, it'll regenerate itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, liver is bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in dealing with the oxalates, it has to generate a larger amount of glutathione to neutralize the effect. of the oxalate compounds.
Yo, check this out, Wayne. Somebody said the reason Popeye had to have or love olive oil is because olive oil neutralizes oxalic acid in our body temple.
I
Hey, ain't that yo? What do you think about that, Wayne?
think that's deep.
That's deep. No, that's super deep.
Yeah, it
What,
is.
what? That was the name of his girl. What was her name?
Yeah, her name was Olive Oil.
That's some yo. You can't make this shit up, y'all.
Yeah, that's deep. That's real deep.
Man, Jesus Christ, y'all.
Yeah, that's
Whew.
profound. That's profound.
So
But some of the things that we put into our system, which is really deep, um, that are on the list that we would never think should be on the list because we derive health benefits from them. So, turmeric is one of the things that is on the top 10 list of oxalate compounds. Dark chocolate is on that list, of oxalate, you know, toxicity.
so
Um,
okay.
beets, beets and beet greens are on the list of oxalate toxicity.
Mm.
Almonds,
I heard about almonds, man.
yeah,
Woo! I heard about almonds.
yeah,
I heard some
yeah,
shit about almonds, Wayne.
yeah. So almonds give it to you. You get it in two different ways. So you have the oxalate compounds with almonds, and then see in the East, the way they deal with almonds, they blanch them. They take the skin off
Mm-hmm.
because they understand that in the skin you have tannin. And tannin is one of the top reasons for esophageal cancer.
Mm.
So people that consume a lot of almonds or, almond butter, they're dealing, with high quantities of tannin going into their system. So when I was in the Netherlands last year or year before, I went into a health food store and I bought um, a couple of bottles of blanched almond butter because it's just white butter
Mm-hmm.
because they've removed all the skin.
Mm-hmm.
If I take, like I've got in my backyard, I've got squirrels, that come up and they, get nuts and stuff from me.
Mm-hmm.
If I give them almonds, they won't eat them.
Mm.
They will not eat almonds. They'll eat walnuts. They'll eat pecans. Those are their two favorites. They won't eat peanuts and they won't eat uh, the almonds.
Wow. Yeah, this is some good information for us.
It gets worse.
Talk to us. Come on.
Oranges, because vitamin C is an oxalate compound, and vitamin C or oranges are within the list of the top 10 foods that you want to avoid.
Wayne, so hold on. Come on. You're going too far now, Wayne. So
I know.
you telling us we can't we shouldn't take vitamin C now?
We have to take vitamin C in very strategic and limited amounts because what happens, a lot of the plants that just in general have a tendency to manufacture vitamin C. And when vitamin C oxidizes and degrades, it degrades into oxalic acid. And that oxalic acid, is what generates the formation of the oxalate compounds that we then take into our body. And so that's how the whole thing with vitamin C because it's oxalate prone. So we just have to be really careful, because I've been dealing with vitamin C since the Linus Pauling days. I mean, there's so many benefits that vitamin C has, even as we
Oh man, I hope it ain't mess up, y'all. Oh shit. Wayne, can you hear me? Wayne done froze up. Oh shit. He was on here scaring us to death and shit. Now he done froze up. Wayne, can you hear us? Can you hear me? Yeah, I've been while Wayne gets that. I've been heard about this whole spinach and kale thing, y'all. And I eat a lot of kale wraps in Georgia. They got a bunch of spot. All they do is sell kale in Georgia. Kale, 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 kale. So I heard about it, and I just try not to drive myself crazy with this diet thing, because every time you look up, it's something new. But I've been heard that the plants, they don't want to be eaten, so they'll release shit. They'll release chemicals. I heard that a long time ago. I asked somebody that years ago at National Black Theater because I heard about it, and he was a vegan, so I don't think he wanted to give me he didn't want to give me a certain answer. But yeah, you just gotta be real mindful of what you eat, and I think not only what we eat, family, but our mindset while we're eating is important. Deepak talked about our thoughts while we're eating could alter the chemicals that are produced while we're eating. So I don't want us to eat and be scared while we're eating. We should eat with a certain mind frame in mind. That's why they say don't eat when you're angry or arguing with somebody, or don't take food from somebody who's angry or just finished arguing, because that shit gets transferred into the food. But yeah, this diet thing, I think all this is important for our light body. Our light body is what's important, and everything that he's telling us tonight is I wonder why he didn't come back on yet. Oh, here you go.
and
Wayne.
yeah,
Okay, I hear you.
that was
Yeah,
it.
I was telling the people, man, this is some good stuff. I'm glad you're talking about it, and I think it needs to be talked about. Like I said, people didn't want to say this because they don't. People are tired of getting attacked, Wayne. They come with some information, and then this group is going to attack you. That group, that group. People are zealots. So I'm just glad that you came with some of this information tonight, my brother.
Well, the problem with all of that is I don't give a damn.
Uh,
They can attack me all day and all night because I know where I stand and I know what I'm bringing. I
yeah.
don't even worry about that nonsense.
What?
Um,
Real quick, Wayne. Real quick. With the potatoes, and somebody asked that, and I was thinking it. Also, is that the same as yams, like sweet
Sweet
potato?
potatoes are in there as well.
Sweet potatoes?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna
Wayne.
tell you,
So, Wayne.
I've had to drop. I mean, sweet potatoes were one of my most favorite things to eat, damn near on the daily.
Wayne, man, come on, man.
You know,
I'm gonna stop interviewing you, man.
I
What's that? Oh, you said sweet potatoes, man. Come on, Wayne.
know, man. Hey,
Yeah,
brother, believe me, I've had to walk away with things that were part of my faves, man.
yeah, yeah.
Um, even with the oranges, man. It's yeah, it's frustrating, but in continuing consumption of those things, what we have to deal with is impairment of our digestive abilities.
Right.
Um, it cancels out or lessens our immune function, uh, gets into our skeletal structure, and really jeopardizes bone health,
Mm-hmm.
makes us more fragile, more sensitive to different abnormalities that we can pull in from other things. Um, And again, urinary system uh, problems, issues, and then again, dealing with the brain um, and nervous system. So if you begin to look at all of the things that are disrupted based on the consumption of these oxalates, you then have to just think about if these things are removed, how many disorders do you take off the table? You remove a lot of things that we ordinarily have to deal with, especially as we get older and we attribute these things to just getting older. And that's not what it is at all. And that's where a lot of the oxalate compounds come in terms of wreaking havoc on the microbiome.
Mm, mm,
Because as the oxalate compounds, as they come and begin, to create challenges, systemic challenges in the human body,
mm,
that in turn creates challenges for how our microbiome operates and functions. And remember, I said that the microbiome is a bioresonant technology. It's all based on frequency. So as the frequency lessens in these various organs and glands based on our consumption of oxalates,
mm.
bam, you know, we're
Right.
losing life force in half a dozen different ways.
Mm,
Half a dozen different ways.
mm,
I mean, some of the information that we talked about the last time, when you start putting all of that together with the microbiome, it's all about what can we do to generate more activity and frequency in the microbiome, not lessen it.
right.
So you brought up, because you were doing stance work.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, stance work is super powerful because the latest science, first they were looking at the entire body and they were looking at the musculature, the development of muscle tissue in the entire human body. And they were saying that this had direct correlations to longevity. But then they became even more specific and they said that it's the legs,
Mm,
it's the muscles in the legs that generate dynamic longevity.
mm,
And that's what you get when you do stance work. When you're doing like holding the tree, or holding the ball, when you're doing those levels of training, it's deep because as you're doing that, what you engage and what you empower is your root chakra.
mm,
Your root chakra develops stronger, just dynamic chi
mm,
from just holding those types of postures. And
mm,
what's profound is that one of the things they said was that the more your legs become adept, the stronger they become, the larger they become, the larger the brain becomes automatically. That the brain begins to expand in size and quality. Now, when you stop and you think about what that type of stance posture does, because the root chakra corresponds and connects to the crown. So the stronger and the longer you hold your holding the tree or ball posture, the more cosmic or stellar energy you bring down into your crown chakra.
mm. I want to show you something real quick, Wayne. I was just looking up something while you were talking. I'm glad I got you on here because as I was studying the stances, I came across this and I'm like, is this just way folks making up shit or is this real? Because they're privy to information that I haven't heard of a lot of times. And they said your calf is called the second heart. And there's a whole community that talks about your calf muscle behind your leg. It's the second heart and it pumps blood back up to your heart. And
Yeah,
there's tons of videos on it. And I'm like,
yeah,
I've never heard nobody. I've interviewed thousands of people who talk about that. I know you're into the energy work. So have you heard of that, Wayne?
yeah. That's very accurate. So one of the other things like that I've become mindful of over the last couple of years, you know, is just dealing with one's blood pressure, so really neutralizing blood pressure spikes by eating something like, say, that's sweet,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden, you get that rush. Now, when that happens, the way you neutralize that is just lay down on the floor and point your feet, toes going up towards the ceiling, so that you get this stretch on the calf.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get that stretch on the calf, it begins to activate and move the blood through the body, and it neutralizes, you know, um, that excess sugar condition that you're feeling in the body at that time.
Yeah, somebody says shaped kind of like a heart. That's deep. I ain't even think about it like that. The calf is kind of shaped like a heart. And I think something else, this is big, big. Where did somebody wrote this here? I think this is not talked about enough at all, Wayne. Our sedentary culture where we're sitting all day has
Right,
completely changed our health, Wayne.
right.
Completely, us just sitting all day. Oh man, it has altered. Could you talk about that, my brother?
Oh, no question. I mean, that you're talking about the pooling of blood in various areas of the body because of lack of movement. You're talking about stagnation. You know, it's just, being in those kind of situations is very health depleting. And if you are an individual that understands that, and even more so in terms of getting to be proactive, has an understanding of that, and you make your way, to do cardio. You have a energy practice, that you're doing when you leave that job, or you're going to the gym, but that you have something that offsets that, so that you have a certain degree of vitality that's now entering the body mind, and that is giving you a different opportunity, in terms of just generating life giving frequency and vibrational frequency. Because the thing that we look at, when we start thinking about what takes, like for me, I experiment with this, right? So the microbiome vibrates at 128 hertz. When you do things like qigong, which is what we talked about the last time, that qigong frequency enlivens and expands the entire microbiome. The microbiome around the eyes, in the brain, in the heart, the liver, in the gut. But you can get something like this, that just vibrates 128 hertz. And you can put this on different areas of your body, and that frequency moves directly into the area of the body that you've put it on, and it balances the microbiome.
How do you put it on the body, Wayne? How do you do it for those? All right. So you take that, and then what do you do?
Just place this directly onto the body.
Okay.
And the vibration that you've created from here, so it's vibrating now. I take this and I just place it on the area of my body. And it even has the sound to it, the hum. You can hear the hum. And it's going directly into my head. So other things that you can do that people should be aware of, and we talked a little bit about this as well.
The technology gods, man. What's going on with my brother Wayne? Oh boy, he got frozen again. Yeah, we ain't got that much time left tonight. Yo, let me show y'all something that's fire too. In terms of getting your body, um, I, just from my experience, and I want to ask him about this. The tuning forks is dope because with water and the tuning forks, creates a certain cymatics within the water in our body. But this right here, if you step in one of these, I've never seen nothing get your body shaking. You know how they say, let's get shit shaking? Yeah, you step in one of these sound bowls, these foot sound. I'm gonna buy one. You step in one of these foot sound bowls, family. Bang on that shit. Get somebody to bang on. Man, your body be like, your body be vibrating like a mom. Ain't nothing messing with this, family. I'm telling y'all. In terms of getting your body at least to vibrate. You see that white ladies in there? Yeah, but you gonna feel it. I'm gonna get one of those. I'm definitely gonna get one. Yeah, but Wayne, yeah, that cheer culture, y'all. That cheer culture has changed a lot. A lot of things can be eliminated health wise, not even necessarily with us changing our diet. It's just our daily practices, like going outside. Not to say don't to have a horrible diet. I will never say that. But what I'm saying is so much bigger than the diet, and things like getting sun or getting some fresh air outside. We're indoors all day. So fresh air, going to the park, getting some negative ions, or talking to yourself, singing to yourself, or just simple things we could do that are just completely change our overall the self-talk. Like self-talk is very important. Me and Minister Jew talked about that a lot. But a lot of simple things we could do to change our health, family. That is just a part of our culture, and we think it's normal. Here goes Wayne right here. Wayne, man, what's going on tonight, Wayne?
I have no idea, man. I think somebody doesn't want to get this information out, man.
Oh man, I'm telling you, Wayne. I'm telling you.
You
But you
know,
you you dropping some jewels tonight, Wayne. Let me show you this. This is what I show the family. I don't want to keep you too much longer, my brother. I want to give me a couple of questions for Wayne. But I want to show you this. I was telling the family, I'm gonna get one of these. This is some powerful shit, Wayne. If you want your body vibrating at a certain frequency, Wayne, these are wait, where's it at? These foot sound bowls, Wayne. Bro, your body would be like, you be like,
yeah.
yo, wait,
I
yo,
haven't seen these. Yeah, man. That's
yo,
yeah, okay.
Wayne, I'm telling you, these joints, you step in it, bro, that water in your body is moving, bro.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
I can see that. And the other piece with the microbiome is what it does when it's properly activated. It then has the ability to take other elements in
Mhm.
the human body and enliven them, increase their vibrational frequency. So, for example, um, magnetite.
Mhm.
Magnetite is one of the dominant elements that we find in the human body and on the planet, in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And to give you an example, this sister, Dr. Shavi Ali, as a matter of fact, I'll be up there next week. She's bringing me up to do a lecture in Detroit. She's a retired professor out of Wayne State University, but this is what she says about magnetite. She says magnetite is an iron oxide that is naturally found in the human brain and throughout the physical vessel. It serves as an anti inflammatory, as a healer of aches and pains, as a vitality booster, as a balancer of the right and left hemispheres of the brain, as a balancer of male female hormonal energies, as a conduit for advanced analytical thinking, and as a connection to spiritual consciousness. It is a magnetic mineral, meaning that it has the power of attraction. So when the microbiome is properly vibrating, it's increasing frequency in this particular dynamic, this element within the human body that increases our ability to attract what we want to have brought into our lives. So it has a direct relationship to manifestation.
Oh, I was on mute. My fault. Oh yeah, yeah. That's powerful, y'all. This is some good stuff tonight. Um.
Oh, I know what I was saying with respect to underwear. You want your underwear to be natural because one of the uh, experiments, that they've done, scientifically based, that they've done is they found that when you wear artificial textures, that it literally cuts off and deadens the frequency of the microbiome. And they have found that people that wear polyester underwear and such, instead of natural fabrics, develop a series of um, impotence, vaginal infections, impairments, because the microbiome in that area has ceased to be based on the vibration that is coming from the man-made artificial textures, that we're wearing. So they highly recommend that we only embody ourselves with things like silk or cotton.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing. That's important. Yep. Very important. All right. Let's get to a couple of questions from the family. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Um. Somebody said, "Is he going to talk about the light body?" Yeah, the microbiome. The light body is an extension of the microbiome.
Yeah,
Talking about the
exactly.
microbiome, we're talking about the light body and what ways. When we're talking about the self stuff, we're talking about how to resurrect your light body. Right now our lights are a lot of light of our light is dim right now.
Our light is dim. And again, that's a good point that you made right there. And it's on point because we're literally talking about as the microbiome expands in frequency, that is the light body. So for example, in the system of healing that I use, the first thing that we do when we go in to shear and clean the auric field, we move and clear and straighten all of what we call the health rays that
Mm,
emanate from that auric field. Because those health rays are all entangled and just congested. And those health rays are the extensions of the frequencies emanating from the microbiome that feeds into the light body. So
Right.
it's all connected.
Indeed. Wayne, they want to know where's it said? Just want to know what's Wayne eating on a daily. Like, what are some of the things you eat, Wayne? Put you on the spot.
I'm eating no, because I'm eating different now, because I've had to take out like so many things, man. I mean, my diet. Matter of fact, I mean, my diet is my whole diet is being revised because what I was eating prior to coming into all of this information with the oxalates, and then there are the lectins, and then you've got your foods that have oxalates and lectins combined within them. Um, we're just we're in a really bad place. So what I've been eating a lot of is I use a protein supplement, and that's where I'm really drawing, I would say, the lion's share of my protein from is this particular supplement. And I don't wait a minute. Yeah, I have it. It's called Perfect Amino.
You gonna have everybody buy that tonight, man. Cause you,
And this
cause Wayne,
supplement,
real quick, Wayne, cause you in phenomenal shape. Like we hear people say they vegan sometimes, but Wayne, you in phenomenal shape. So people like, man, what is Wayne doing?
yeah, I mean, this particular amino complex has a 99% absorption ratio. 99%. There's nothing else like it on the market. So I use that to balance and supplement the foods that I eat, like lately, because I go to the farmer's market, or I used to go to the farmer's market. It's too cold here now. But every Saturday, cauliflower, broccoli, um, and turnips, and all of those are very low oxalate based foods. So I've been eating a lot of that, and then I make up different soups. I make up soups for myself that are all low oxalate compounds, and I just make sure that I stay on my perfect aminos, because that's where I'm going to get, you know, um, like I said, the lion's share, of my protein. Now I do other things because I order, like I really like sweet sop, and sweet sop is kind of like an offshoot of what they call cherimoyas, but it's one of the most powerful medicinal fruits that you can eat. And I order those by the bucks, by the case, from a little farm down in Florida. And they've been in season for the last few months, and for the last few months, I've been having a go at it. So I'm off here and there, and I'm redesigning, my entire dietary program just based on all of this new information. The whole thing with lectins are like a glue, you know, that is produced by a lot of the foods that we eat. And it turns into this glue like substance in our body.
Mm,
And the way that many of us have heard of lectins was through Diodamo's work Eat Right for Your Type.
Mm-hmm.
When he wrote that book, Eat Right for Your Type, that gave a lot of, it shone the light on this whole lectin dynamic that comes from a lot of the foods that we eat. And I studied, I know that there was validity in that because I studied his father's work back in the 70s because his father started doing that research like in the late 60s and published his first book around 1971 or two.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know, so his son just picked it up and ran with it, but and expounded, on the subject,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, my whole dietary direction is shifting immensely because
Yeah.
of all of this new information.
Indeed. Wayne, somebody, we're gonna do just two more questions, then we're gonna get out of here. Is magnetite a supplement?
Magnetite is a element. It's an element that is literally found in the human body, and it's magnetic. It's found in the human body, and it's found in the soil of the planet. And in different areas of the planet, it's found in more concentrated amounts than others.
Right, right. All right. Let me see, what is this? Hold up, Wayne. I'm trying to.
And I want to say, with respect to tahini, because I used to use a lot of tahini when I would make my soups. I
Mm-hmm.
would use tahini nut butter in my soups. And with this whole thing with sesame seed now being toxic and oxidant driven, what I did was I went to black sesame seeds because you're not going to go into Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, or anywhere like that and see black sesame seeds
No, they're not.
or black tahini.
Mm-hmm.
And it's available. And you can use black tahini in place of your usual tahini made from the white sesame seed.
Hmm. All right, let's. I just seen the question. This every time I see the question. Wayne, they want to know what's your zodiac sign. Quick question. This ain't the last one. That's a quick one. They said
I'm,
what's
I'm, I'm a triple scorp with a Cancer moon.
your. Wayne, they want to know. Have you had the chance to meet Brother Willie Brooks, and what is your perspective on us possibly becoming Brettarians at some point?
I think when we recode genetic patterns, that would be a possibility. It's not a possibility right now.
Mm,
You know, with those telomeric caps that have been placed on, a chromosome, it shortens where we can go with what it is that we can do with the information we acquire through our study. It really puts a lot of limitation on that. So, for example, I talked about every organ in the body. They've done the research. Isotope studies back in the mid 90s were done showing that every organ in the body regenerates itself over a very short period of time. Within a year's time, the entire body has regenerated itself up through 97% of capacity. So the thing that we're looking at, when you're looking at a regenerative dynamic that's in play, yet we still are dying, you know.
mm.
tells us that there is something that has been artificially, encoded systemically in our bodies that stops us from getting to the places that we really want to get at and need to get to.
Mhm. Indeed. Shout out Dr. Bashari Wilson. I think that's his name. I gotta talk. I don't have your number no more. I'm a DM you on I gotta get you back on the show. I've been saying that for like 2 years. Where's the brother at? He just commented. I can't find your comment, but I'm gonna reach out to you, brother, on Instagram, or reach out to me, either or. But I want to get you on the show, my brother. Definitely do. I've been meaning to get you on for like over a year now. It just keeps slipping my mind. But he studies the Chinese medicine as well. Um, I think that's gonna be it, Wayne. We about to get out of here.
Solid.
I'm just trying to see. I mean, this was a magnificent show. I need, being that we're going through what we go. Number one, I'm definitely gonna get Wayne on the Patreon for that. The tongue. What was it? Tongue connection? You said?
Yeah.
Yeah, we gonna move on that ASAP, and I'm gonna get Wayne on the show more often as we transition and merge with our multidimensional selves more and become more aware of our multidimensional body. I think what the brother offers is extremely important. It's not gossip. It's not, this exotic information that's going to get you high. It's what you need. It's what we need. It's what I need. So I think this brother's very important at this time. So I'm gonna have brother Wayne on, every month and a half or something like that. Every month. Wayne, also, how you doing a trip to Cambodia? Can you tell
Yeah.
us about that before you get out of here, brother?
Yeah, man. That trip is going to be off the chain. I mean, it's going to be next level, and it's going to be really, what we need at this particular time, not only to move us forward in general, but also just in preparation for what's going to be coming down in 2026. We're going to be going deep into, qigong, and again, it's pairing and relationship with the microbiome. As a matter of fact, there's a really great article, and the brother that you just mentioned, who's into Chinese medicine, he may want to do research on this article as well. It's called Qigong and the microbiome, and I didn't get into that a whole lot tonight, but Qigong definitely has a profound influence, on the microbiome, its resonance, and the extension, of its frequencies, from the body out into the environment. So um, the retreat that we're doing is next level. The energy there is one of the main power points on the planet, and we're going to elevate. I mean, we're talking about shifts in consciousness and guaranteeing those shifts in consciousness. And that's what this retreat is going to be all about. It's moving us to the next level with respect to our consciousness, because we want warriors. We want warriors because of where we're getting ready to go. We got to be prepared and ready.
Oh man, you got me excited, man. Listen, yeah, we're gonna be talking about that trip more often when he comes on, and we're gonna talk about it some more. Other than that, Wayne, any contact info if the people want to reach out to you, my brother?
Um, WayneBChandler.com. That's my website. Wayne B as in Bravo, Chandler.com.
Mhm. Hey, family. Other than that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I will see you tomorrow. Wayne, I'm gonna talk to you soon, my brother. I appreciate the show. Amazing show.
Okay, bro. Keep
All right.
living strong.
Peace, my brother.
Peace.